Well, we're back out here today, and in light of our transmission failures, we're going to go ahead and start the body and paint on this thing. And you are going to see a budget how to body and paint your car in a couple of weeks with the help of maybe a buddy for less than 300 bucks, 400 bucks, something like that, and how to make a car look pretty dang good for that much. So we're going to put JD to work pulling off the trim and maybe the tail light. You know, whatever you can get. Yeah. You know, whatever's easy. Don't worry about everything. And I'm going to mask off the engine, our shiny new 390 that we built for less than $400. So I'm going to cover all that up, mask all that so we don't get it all filthy. And then let's just do a little overview of what we're going to be looking at as far as work on this car. So a lot of you guys have remarked that this car is very, very straight, and it is. It has, I mean, just a handful of dents in it. It's not bad. There's a little bit of rust down low in the rockers and in the heel of the fenders, both fenders. This side's the good side. We're not going to fix this right. I mean, it's going to be kind of butch, but that is okay. It's cheap, it's fast, it gets it on the road, and it looks good going down the road. Hell, it'll even look good up close. You'd never know if I didn't show you. I got a dent to pop here. That's no big deal. I think I remember a dent on the top of this. Little ding, nothing big. I got a little rust here that we'll probably just knock down, and glass. I'm gonna pull a dent here where Granny got into a curb or something. And a little rust here. This rocker is pretty much non-existent, so we probably will try to make some rockers. As far as the rest goes, got some pinhole rust here coming through. We're gonna mud it and forget it. Lower quarters solid as can be. Had a beat out a little dent here, a little here where a bumper got into it. Trunk lid, little bit of pinhole rust again. Probably gonna have some holes here, but not bad. As you can see, we got a pretty straightforward project to deal with here. I'm going to show you how an average guy can do this with average skills, well, everything. Yeah, and how just you can knock something out and paint it and look just as good as the guys that spent $20,000 on their job. Maybe you got to redo it in 5 years. Well, you could do a lot of paint jobs 5 years at a time. All right, JD's pulling tail lights. I hope we have another lens for that. I broke that pushing it in. But make sure you keep all the screws and hardware with them, buddy. Okay. Yeah, otherwise, we'll be hunting. And you might pull out the pipe hands, too, and we can paint these while we got them out. We're just going to try to knock this out. BODYWORK's pretty boring to watch, so I'll break away and bring you in whenever something is, you know, noteworthy. Other than that. I'm going to kind of ease myself back in here by starting on what's probably the easiest rust hole to patch. And again, we're not doing any of this right, okay? Take everything with a grain of salt, bitch about it in the comments, whatever. We're not perfectionists here, but we just want to make it better than it was. My first thought was to fill all this with expandable foam. That might still happen. We'll try to do something a little better here since we do have the luxury of time. I'm just going to cut the rust out of this and kind of let it tell me what it wants. And I'm not going to go cutting the whole thing out or drilling spot welds or no. We're going to cut it and probably overlap a piece of sheet metal into it and then blend it into the panel. You'll say, well, that will never work. Well, look right here. See this right here? This is a factory overlapped seam. The whole quarter panel overlaps this, and then they blended it in with lead filler. So it worked for the last, 63 years or so. It'll probably work just fine for what we're doing. Look at this, even the door jamb is overlapped. It's got seam sealer popping out of it. It's basically all we're gonna do. So here's what we got. Cut out all this. I cut out back to here, but I left the metal around it. It seems nice and solid. There's a few pinholes, whatever. Not worried about that. Probably going to put a rocker molding over it anyway. This is why it rotted. So at least we can clean some of that out. And the rust, for the most part, is now gone. I gotta trim a little bit more. What I'm gonna do now is, I got this chunk of Ford Torino hood. I'm gonna measure, roughly, from under here up to here, and then try to count in for this little 90 it's got in it. We'll see what it tells me to do. I asked if you're done yet.
No, I'm not done
We
yet.
are currently losing the shop as we speak.
We are not losing the shop.
The shop is going.
Dang, it's gone.
Yep, and it's gone. I'm gonna go ahead and spray down the inside of this with poor man's Pour 15. Alright, so I hacked out this piece out of a Torino hood. I just noticed I need to straighten out a little bit. 1 second. I left the bottom of this rocker on back here. Just butted up against the pinch weld on the bottom there. Then all we gotta do is just try to bend this, and then we can get the shape of the bend in it, and then we can put in our little step that it needs here. And I cut it about 3/4 of an inch too long because you know I have a tendency to be completely wrong about things. So you know, everything's trial and error, and I work 90% by eyeball on everything. So is it efficient? No. Does it work? No. I'm pretty sure that's somewhere in the neighborhood of where we want it. Man, this Torino metal is pretty heavy. Look at that perfection there. Look at the eyeball gauge. It's just, it is dialed in to an until now unknown degree. I mean, it truly amazing. I just absolutely amaze myself sometimes with my inner genius. Anyway, now that I'm done gloating, let's go ahead and try to screw this up. Now, I got that one butted up against there. I'm just going to draw on the back side where our first lip is. So we got our first lip kind of built in. So we should be able to go from here and find how far we need to go. And it's about 1 inch. If we measure out 1 inch and we put an opposite bend in it up here, that should give us both those lips there. And the rest of it we can just beat on there. And, you know, my eyeball gauge set to maximum. There we go. That's it for sure. Yep. Yep. Just bear with me, folks, alright? I know what I'm doing. Well, not really, but, you know, sometimes I do. So while I finish trying to make that patch panel over there, I'm going to set JD to just running a flat DA all over this whole car here. So you're going to use 80 grit. Alright. Just take 80. I got some 40 here too. But that's only for rust or, you know, something, or if the paint, or if you find some body filler in it, then maybe use that. But
okay,
there shouldn't be any of that. So all you're wanting to do, grab the air hose, but
yeah,
in DA mode right now, has this little lock on it that can put it into grind mode. We don't need to strip this thing. It's not in that bad a shape.
okay.
So I would suggest starting on the deck lid up here. So you're going to take your DA and leave it flat. Put one hand on top.
Okay.
And then you're not trying to remove all of the material. You just want to get everything roughed up. Now you see like this spot right here?
Yeah.
That's a high spot. So we can also do a little bit of blocking while you sand it, as long as you keep it dead flat. That's the most important thing. If you go digging with the edge, you're going to make assholes. Assholes are low spots in the paint, and you know, they look like assholes. Don't do that. Basically, just keep her flat, and if you get this surface out of it, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
You don't got to strip it all off or nothing. It'll be okay.
Just this white stuff?
Just make it look like this.
Okay.
In here, you don't want any shine left, If you break through, it's okay. But most important thing is just we want a nice rough surface that body filler and primer can stick to.
Okay.
And the body filler and primer won't stick to a shiny surface.
Okay.
Just try to stay off the trim and just keep it as flat as possible. That's key. That's the most important thing.
Okay.
I can give you a bigger DA if you want it, but that should do the trick.
Yeah, I'd like that.
All right.
Who wouldn't take 3 home-cooked meals? The kids and the dog in a 40-acre field, growing old and holding hands until it comes our time. A company man making a hell of a wage, and he's all set up once his hair turns gray. Hats off to you, you're doing things right. Some people call that living the dream, but I guess I'm just a different breed. The saddle broke the bronco and took him out the wild. Once you pin him up, that's the final ride. Just sitting there itching, wondering what's on the other side.
Now here's the rocker we got going on here. It's pretty homegrown and it's pretty butch. But I got the self-tappers just kind of holding it in place for now. It's definitely a cave and pave. And you know what? That'll be just fine for this. Our rough shape is pretty much the same. We'll just have to blend it in. I'll probably do some more beating on it to curve it in. But it'll work. It's better than a rust hole. And it's better than expandable foam. So, you know, it's got that going for it. It's just going to get some glass and mud and we'll forget about it. And you know what? That'll last probably at least 10 years. That's, you know, why would I spend, you know, a month trying to get something right here? And now I'm going to grind to bare metal, the whole shebang. What I'll use to seam seal it is just some JB Weld. And so I'm going to mix up a little JB Weld, smear it on the back side of it, stick it on it, shoot all the screws back in it, and then let it set up and tack. JD's over here and he's got this quarter about a quarter of the way done. He's found a lot of little dings and dents, and I don't know, Grandma got a lot of door dings. So that down here we got some pretty good beatage down there. But he's marking them all with a pencil so we know when we come back around we'll mix up some filler and just, you know, tap around the edge, fill it, done. We're not going to spend 6 months trying to get this thing absolutely perfect. That way we can go drive it and get a door ding the first 5 minutes we drive it. So it'll look just fine and it'll last for years, trust me.
You got a coupe to build. I know it ain't pretty, but I'm living still. You got a house paid off. I got stacks.
Alright, so it's the next day. And this is all nice and dried up. So I'm going to take all the self-tappers out and we're going to glass it in. Alright, so we're ready to smear some glass on it. You can see all the screws are out of that. See, she's still glued on there with the JB Weld. You mix up your glass. I've got short strand fiberglass here, and they make it in long strand as well. That's really more for like making things. The short strand is good for just reinforcement, you know, if you're just filling a rust hole or something. It actually works pretty good. And see, that's the misconception that comes with body filler is that, I don't know, somewhere along the lines, Chip Foose or, you know, Clark Dorkman or somebody came up with the idea that, well, all body filler's bad. Well, no, it really isn't actually, if you use it right. And this is not right, but it will work. Key here is you don't just layer a bunch of, you know, mud on there. They call it Bondo bucket. No, it's not. All right, you know, Bondo is a brand name. There's filler today that's stronger than metal. I've done cars this way for a long time, and they usually hold up just fine. So, just smear this on there. You get a little dollop of this stuff. And this is just fiberglass reinforced filler. It has a little extra, you know, oomph to it. Just take your hardener and just kind of, you know, that's plenty. You pour it on there. And then you drop and lose everything. And then just start mixing it in and make sure it's thoroughly mixed. You don't want any soft spots now. And good fiberglass is just as easy to work with as filler, like this Evercoat. It's really good stuff. It's old, but it works. And again, they say, oh, that's got a shelf life of whatever. Yeah, well, whatever. It's like at least 4 years old and it still works fine. You're not worried about making this pretty. You just want to make it look. And we're going to blend it right into our, street sign floor pan here. Totally legally acquired, of course. It'll all be nice and hidden under that Walmart shag rug. Work it into the gap of the patch. Just do that all the way around the edges and any, obvious big low spots or anything it's got. It's our final-ish result here. You see it's all blended in around all the edges. Blended it into the fender. We'll knock this down, then we'll just use a cutoff wheel to cut the gap back in it. Filled some of the low spots from beating on it. You can tell I'm going to go back to about here and just kind of blend everything together. You'll never notice. Just remember, guys, especially young guys out there, the same people that'll tell you that this will never work are probably the same people that said that motor would never run, the GTO would never drive on the street, the Roadrunner will never drive again. You get the gist of it. So on this fender here, I was gonna put a patch in it, but you know what? I'm gonna show you guys how to really butch something and have it be functional-ish. I'm gonna cut out the rust so it doesn't try to spread. Probably something like that, but I'm gonna leave that edge in there. We are gonna cut out all this rust. And then we're gonna take some gutter mesh and fiberglass in some gutter mesh into the hole. Then we're gonna put more fiberglass over it, and the mesh will let the fiberglass stick through the holes and kind of have some fingers on the backside to hold it in place. This is old school butchery here. It's if you took something to a body shop in the 60s or 70s or 80s, that's how they would fix a rust hole. Again, much like everything else, it's only recently that we've become obsessed with perfection, and perfection is the enemy of progress, and we want to get this sucker painted and looking good. It's way down low on the car, probably won't bubble out for 4 or 5 years at least. So, it's a no-brainer. What's it gonna do? Rust? It's already rusted. How's that going?
Good.
Looking good. It's like nice and flat. Find more dents.
No more.
Really?
No more. There's no dents here, and I don't think there's.
No door dings, huh? Just that crease on the front.
Yeah.
Very cool. Here, let me show them what I'm doing over here. Huh? See that? You just stuff the gutter screen in there, get it cut to fit. Now the fiberglass has something to hang on, you know what I mean? That's how, probably half the cars running around out there are built. And they seem to work just fine. I don't know. It seems weird.
You wouldn't be able to see it.
Nope, not once we glass it in. And all the rust is gone. So, since all the rust is cut out, it really won't matter. We're gonna go ahead and patch this driver's side too, and I already cut it out. But one thing you gotta do before you start laying glass in it is make sure you go to bare metal all the way around it. I got my professional stir stick here. I'm just gonna mix up some. Oh wait, I forgot to put the chicken wire in there, or the
Patch
rust
panel.
repair. Yes, patch panel. Legit, totally good patch panel that you can cut with scissors for convenience. Yep, just these are press fit instant patch.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was designed for.
Yeah. I mean, it's factory.
Oh, yeah.
So, it doesn't matter.
I mean, it won't rust.
Oh, yeah, well.
It's aluminum and fiberglass, so it's actually better.
Than a patch pan?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Way better.
Except it just won't last as long.
Except for it won't, you know, work. Oh. I'll just poop some of this out on here. Cave and pave, baby.
You should eat some of that.
Yeah, it smells good.
Yeah.
It's pudding. The forbidden pudding.
Let's record
I'm gonna eat this unless if you don't subscribe. If you don't subscribe right now, I'm gonna eat this. Okay, I'm glad you did. That'll never work. That'll never run. That'll never drive. That'll never, that'll never, that'll never, that'll never. If we be cruising the street looking for honeys. It is now another day, and I am JD-less, fortunately. So, what I'm going to work on is, I'm just going to knock out a lot of this, and, you know, fix some of the dents and stuff on it, and maybe try to get the whole thing in a coat of primer. But we can at least get it to that point, and then we'll block and paint and stuff in probably a part 2 of this episode. We got our fiberglass in here where we butched in this lower fender and this rocker. And don't go hitting that with a DA, you're just gonna waste your time. Hit it with a grinder, and you don't need this to be good. You just need to knock it down and leave some in here to use as a structural base for your filler. Hopefully you'll be able to see this, but this is all lower than the metal up here, and that's how we want it. We're not trying to fill this out to fit. This is just strength. That's all it is. If that was just filler, this would pop out, and you would, you know, see the classic, you know, guy kicks the side of the car and the fender falls off syndrome. This fiberglass won't allow that to happen. It will hold this thing together. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the rest of this and the other side, and then I'll jump into some filler work with you in just a moment. Now here's something to note, guys. Not all body fillers are created equal. And normally I wouldn't have anything better to show you, but I just happened to find this brand new, well, liter or whatever, 3 liters of U-pole in my cabinet, and also this, you know, house brand stuff here. Now, this stuff works fine, but you're going to have pinholes in it as it shrinks. Just know that going into it. It's cheap, but it, you know, it's not going to give you a one coat finish, most likely. Now, this stuff, on the other hand, is direct to metal. That's very important. When you're doing things over bare steel, not all fillers are direct to metal. Some of them aren't. And it'll actually like acidify, and you know, it won't bond to the metal as well as it could. If you use a good filler as opposed to a cheap filler, your mind will be blown. This will sand easier. Honestly, the cost difference between these two will probably be made up from the fact that this will use half the sandpaper that this would, and time. But you guys know that I'm not the type to be like, oh, you gotta buy the fanciest. No, you don't 90% of the time. But there is that 10%. Makes a little bit of sense. Always mix this stuff up real good, especially if it's been sitting around for a while. Everything will, all the fiberglass will kind of settle to the bottom, and the bonding agents of it will rise to the top. So get it all nice and stirred in there. But see how creamy this stuff is? It's like icing. I'm just gonna put my hardener in. Just gonna mix it up. Somebody is blowing up something out there, or going to war. I'm not totally sure. Not sure if I need to duck and cover. Just gonna spread it on there. Don't try to get it all at once. If you gotta come back and make another pass over it, then that's what you gotta do. You wanna try to keep rats out of it, which are like that right there. where it's kind of sticking up a little bit. I'm just going to start blending in that rocker too. I'm going to cut our gap back here so I can open the door, hopefully. Well, you can see there, everything's kind of just blended in. It's going to need a little more. I can tell it's low. We're going to let that cure up. Then I've got our rocker. Again, I took the filler. When you're trying to blend a panel, it's thicker here. It gets thinner on the way back. Now, the patch only goes to like here, I think. But we need this in to just kind of blend it in to where you'll never know. I got a few more dents to fix. I think I'm just going to go ahead and knock them out. Got a couple of dings back here on the back, and oh, JD circled a whole bunch of them on this quarter back here. And some of them I'm going to have to knock down a little, I think. But you see on this dent here where he sanded it, see this line right here? That's a way high spot. Now I run my hand over the quarter, I can feel it's high right here. Now the right thing to do would be to get inside that trunk and dolly it out, but this old metal doesn't move quite as good as the new stuff. And so I'm just going to knock that high spot down, and it kind of just spreads out that high spot around the dent. Well, I got some mud in on these dings and stuff where Granny ran into all kinds of things. I got some hammer and dolly work to do down here, but that might be easier said than done, because boy, these old cars are just built like tanks, man. This is double paneled. I mean, it's tough. But the rest of this turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it. There's something else I needed to dolly. I'm not sure. I forgot. That seems to happen when you inhale chemicals for hours. Oh, there's a ding right there. Your hands are your best friend when you're doing body work. Just feel everything, you know what I mean? Just, you know, you'll be able to feel way more than you can see at this point. I'm going to keep sanding on this thing, I think. Go ahead and get all that, everything hit with 80 grit.
Don't wake me up, 'cause I don't know if I can make it through the day. I told myself last night tomorrow there'd be hell to pay. I finally get dressed, wondering where the hell it is I go from here. I'll probably waste the day away, just sweating beer. How many times have I been told, boy, you better slow down? But my mama didn't raise a quitter, no, I never will back down. Stay in the ring as a one-man team, trying to hold my own. But after 15 rounds of cold Bud Light, that's when my cover's blown.
It's on there and being JB welded in place, but we need a little extra support in there, I'm afraid, up here, because not much up there. So there's really only one solution. Yeah, we're gonna fix this sucker up right. You know what I mean? The right way. This part of the car is going to be really well insulated. Coming out the backside. When you're knocking down your filler, I just use a PA. There's a bunch of other things. There's an air board you can use. There's Durablock sets that are really good. I have all that, and I'll be showing it to you in a bit. But your main weapon here is going to be your 6-inch DA. 80 grit is going to knock off 90% of this stuff. If you got it real heavy, you might use a little bit of 40 or 36 grit. But 80 grit will cut right through this. As you start to knock it down, you'll see the edges start to feather out. That's good. Any hard edges need to be feathered out. Otherwise it's going to show right through. So you want to feather it into the panel. Yeah, that should block. I'm just going to bust. I'm just going to bust on it. Try to knock out as much of this as I can. Appears to have grown some kind of tumor out of it. There. go ahead and perform a biopsy. Yep. There we go. Nobody needs to know about that. Made some more headway over here. This is smoothing out real nice. Needs one more coat and it'll be done. Got another coat on the rocker down here. And it's blended in real nice. I think it'll be done after this one. Some of the factory lead was cracking back here, so I just ground it out and smeared some mud in it. And then this should finish up this lower quarter here. Everything else turned out pretty nice. My dad came by and helped out with the body work a lot. Thanks, Dad. He got this door straightened out, this fender knocked out, this rocker's nice and pretty good now. He pretty much went around and knocked out all the stuff I've been working on. I'm just so damn busy. We still got lots of sanding to do, but I'm going to put the thing back on the ground now since those rockers are done. I'll probably knock down some of this spot putty. So whenever you got like pinholes and stuff, use a little bit of this glazing putty, smear it on thin. So you just knock that off with like 180, light, you know, a lighter grit sandpaper. We're back out here. I got JD with me, and we're gonna try to get this in a coat of primer today. And stay away from the filler. That's all done. Just got to sand all these upper surfaces and around all the trim and stuff.
Okay.
We'll throw a coat of prime on it, and then we'll use that to tell us what to do next.
Okay.
Well, we're making good headway. If JD doesn't hurry up, we're gonna lose the shop.
Oh no.
Looking pretty good though. We'll be in primer today. Digging around in the cabinet, looking for some primer and stuff. Just have a little bit of icing, some activators, and 3 mystery gallons of primer. Let's see if any of these have any hope of being used. A little chunky, but we can see. Not bad. Solid. Good enough. Let's take our body man shower. See, car's just about ready for primer. Got a couple more things to knock out. Had a dent in the roof. We'll smooth this out with some green putty. Had a little wave here in the seam. I need to finish sanding that, but it's still a little soft. And the same thing there, just kind of smooth that out. You know, little nicks and stuff. Not perfect, but it'll be pretty good. Just hitting all these little rock chips and stuff. I'm not digging those out, causing a bunch of assholes. A rust hole up here, a little glass, cave and pave, no problem, all done. Perfect. Putting the finishing touches on masking, and we'll be priming here in a minute. But she should be all taped up now. This is the hardest part of any paint job, really. or the longest time-consuming part, for me anyway. We're about to prime. We want our working spray pressure to be about 35, 40. Sound like that. And we want a little bit tighter pattern than that. About like that. So what you do when you first start is go around and cover up your bodywork first. That way you're getting multiple layers on the bodywork. Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going to cover all the bodywork and then I'll give it to you to start doing an overall.
Okay.
You got enough wingspan for it? Nope.
Well, I can't. I'll just do this side.
You work this way. You start in the middle and work your way out. Otherwise, you spray here and then you're trying to lean over and spray over here. Get out flat. Nope. There you go. Now further out. All right. Nope. One pack. All the way down. Start at the back, all the way down to the front. There you go. A little slower. Lean out there. All right. There you go. All right, too fast. And you started to move away from it. There you go. Tuck it behind you. That's how you do it. Keep it flat. It's got to be perpendicular. Alright. Now, hang on. Nope. See how fat it got here? All wet? You got way close. Come back. Nope. You missed. See all the white?
Yeah.
Cover it up. You need to be overlapping about 40% every stroke. There you go. Inside to out. Hold that hose at the back to keep it off the car. There you go.
Just like you're painting the flat. Yeah, you're blowing some under the car, but that's okay.
Oh.
All the way down. All the way back, all right? There you go. That's how it's done. You can't do this.
Oh.
Has to be like this. You do this, all you're doing is just getting a ton of paint shot right on the edge. Keep it like this. Even, smooth, graceful, finesse. That'll work. Take it all the way forward. Finish the panel, let off. Come back, finish. Come back, finish. There you go. Much better. Now, go ahead and just let it run right past there. It's okay, it'll be fine. Start on this side of here. And I know there's runs here, but start right here.
Yeah.
All the way to here. Blend that panel.
Okay.
All right? Start down here. Now you can work this area up to here. Then you start over there and start coming all the way down.
Okay.
This area can be worked right up to the wheel well. But as soon as you get up to there, then you got to take the whole thing.
Okay.
It's just to get you in the habit of it.
Now you mix the bottom of the rocker.
Down here.
The very bottom. Spray that very bottom. That's the most important part. There you go. There we go. Yeah. There you go. Get a little bit close. That's good. That's good right there. Oh, you had it. You were just a little bit too far.
I feel like I missed
You did, but it's all right.
Well, she's all coated. I'm just going to go around and hit what I know were the bad spots again. Get 3-4 coats of primer on all that mud. That'll keep it from shrinking up and give us something to block when we go to sand this. Well, it's pride. You did a good job. I think you learned a little bit on how to do it. That's good. That's going to do it for this one, I think, guys. Remember to hit that like, subscribe, share the stuff around, ring the bell, do all that stuff, and comment. Let me know what you think. And that really helps drive the algorithm. We're probably going to paint, prime and block. This is just the first coat, right? So it's going to need sanded more, blocked out, and probably a little bit of icing and stuff like that. I'll show you some of that when we go to paint it, which you'll see probably next on this car. We should be able to do all that and paint the car in the next episode. And this one took quite a while. It's a little bit different than my normal stuff, but I mean, BODYWORK's boring. You can only show you doing the same thing over and over again and again and again so many times before you don't want to watch it. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.